Hello, I'm good. I'm really excited. Yeah, talking about JJK. Let's go.
So, what did you think of this week's chapter? Actually, you know what? I have a ton to say on this one. So, first of all, let's just get into the whole twin stuff. What do you think about Sukuna having a twin?
um, I'm not gonna lie. I know it was a theory people kind of had for a while, right? And I'm not gonna lie. I was, I really liked it. I was not expecting it to actually be a thing, so I was really surprised. But I really like it. I think it's great.
Like, I agree. I think it adds a certain thematic weight to everything else that happened in the story with Yuji up until now. And you said you've seen some of my older stuff, or I've been talking about twin theory Yuji for so long that it's
Yeah,
pretty fun. Like, this is something I have been waiting for such a long time, that having it finally in paper, even if it's not exactly the same, because you saw like the translation mishap, right?
yeah.
Where he was talking about that. I'm curious what you think about that, actually.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I have a few opinions on it. I really want to see the actual translations, because it's a bit complicated. I can't really tell. It all seems a bit like somehow Kinjaku, you know, came across the soul of Sukuna's twin, and it's supposedly Jin Itadori, right? If I'm not
Yes, Jin
mistaken.
Itadori.
And so then, like, I'm not sure I understand how Jin ended up with that soul, and then so Yuji's like Sukuna's nephew, I guess.
Spiritual nephew. I think there's
Yeah,
some interesting things here. I think the early translations I read, and I'm like, it is very confusing. So I don't blame anybody that got confused this week. The way it's explained is, it sounds like Jin Itadori is the reincarnation of Sukuna's twin brother, and reincarnations have been hinted at for a long time, even with things like the Six Eyes users. And he's like, I think we share the same soul. This is a very early translation I was reading, so
yeah,
things are subject to change. But it sounds like I think he's saying that the byproduct of Kinjaku being with his reincarnation created Yuji, who has the same soul as him, because there are some things that don't make sense if Yuji is not his twin, or they're not the same. Like things like him saying, "Oh yeah, that's right, the boy is from back then." Well, like, what's he talking about if he's not talking about his womb
yeah,
and killing his brother? So I'm kind of curious to see if we'll have like an expansion on that later, because this is like one chapter. So for now, he's like the spirit nephew, I guess.
yeah. It is a bit weird. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but my thoughts, at least before we kind of saw the correct translation about it being Jin, the idea I had is that, like, the soul of his twin was almost being passed down. So it was like, uh, I'm kind of sitting between. I don't know whether it's a situation of Jin just had the soul of Sukuna's twin and then had a child with Kenjaku, and that child is Yuji, or whether it is a thing of like this soul is getting sort of passed down from Jin to Yuji, which is like really strange. And I'm sorry if that's complicated, but
No, I know what you're saying.
it's
I get
like
you.
I feel like that would kind of make more sense in terms of the whole referring to it as like sharing a soul. It would still make Yuji a twin.
Yeah, him being the twin just seems like the most obvious thing here. Especially
Yeah,
the way they refer to him here. It's like that one line, and the way they talk about it, because you're right. It does sound strange when they say, oh, the soul has been passed down. But, in Buddhism, reincarnation's like the whole shtick. And Jujutsu Kaisen, like the fundamental of Jujutsu sorcery is Buddhism in Japan. So
yeah,
reincarnation's not that crazy. Like, Six Eyes users are pretty much already reincarnations of each other. And even though it's not confirmed, that to me does kind of sound like, a Six Eyes user is a reincarnation, so that's why only one can have the Six Eyes at the same time, because it's a passed down technique between one person. They're all just
yeah.
reincarnations of the other one. But like you
I
said,
mean, even with the Six Eyes, we don't really have much information about like kind of details of the Gojo clan and previous users, and how often, because you can have, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, you can have the Six Eyes without Limitless, or is it only
Limitless.
users that get the six eyes.
I think in
I can't
theory
remember.
you can get. They say the six eyes can only appear at any given like one at any given time,
Yeah.
and they said that this was the first time in 200 years that someone had been born with both these six eyes and limitless technique in Gojo. So it sounds like you can like the six eyes are the key. Like that is the part that is reincarnated. So I'm kind of curious how that works. Like you're right, you are right that like you can get them independently. At least that's the way they say it. Even though we only see
Yeah.
characters with limitless.
It's because they always, when referring to, I think it's Tengen referring to Kinjaku losing to six eyes users. Tengen says Kinjaku lost to two six eyes users in the past, but normally, like a six eyes limitless user is referred to as a six eyes limitless user. So referring to them as just the six eyes kind of made me think that they had the six eyes and some other technique, and it's just passed down through this like through the Gojo family.
I have it somewhere here, the one panel, because I think the one they talk about with the six eyes users being like only appearing once at a given time is like in specific reference to the six eyes themselves. Like you could be right, you know, it could just be limitless and the six eyes, and that would honestly make more sense given what we know now, which is that reincarnation is 100% a thing in Jujutsu Kaisen, and also calls into question what a vengeful curse spirit is. So if like you're a vengeful curse spirit, are you just a like non-reincarnated person? Something like an Asura in Buddhism?
Yeah.
I have to wonder, because Buddhism is all about that cycle of suffering and rebirth. And Sukuna and Yuji definitely be suffering.
Oh yeah. Yuji, definitely.
Suffering, dude. Now, the other thing I want to touch on here is how do we feel about him getting Cleave and Dismantle? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, see, that's a strange one because I was talking to someone about this earlier, and I think the shrine technique, right, is separate to dismantle and cleave, and I think like it's a situation of one of the twins had shrine and one of them had cleave and dismantle. Of course, it could be that cleave and dismantle. I mean, at least of my theory of what shrine is, cleave and dismantle could be part of the shrine technique, I guess, but. I love the fact that Yuji has Claim and Dismantle now. I don't know whether that is because he has like this reincarnated like Sukuna's twin soul, and that was the technique of that soul, which Sukuna also ate a part of and would have that technique, or whether he just got it from like having Sukuna, from being Sukuna's vessel. So I'm really not sure which it is, but either way, like, it makes sense. I think it makes total sense that he has Dismantle and Cleave, and I think it's really cool.
I mean, especially when they talk about, like, they have the same innate potential.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it sounds like with Cleave and Dismantle, like you said, the whole shrine technique, it probably is just a part of Shrine, or it could be the whole of Shrine. But you and I have pretty similar it's pretty much the same theory on what Shrine is, and that he has, like, you know, opening up his head to store extra techniques or something like this, or either that's Shrine or it's something ancillary to it. Because we know that Yuji is a vessel, like an incredibly powerful vessel, and they say a vessel comes once every 1,000 years, so the last one could very well be Sukuna, and we know that Yuji gets techniques by eating cursed objects.
Yeah.
That's how he got both of these now. So it could be, that's just what Sukuna did in the past, and he has more because, well, he's eaten more people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess I'm kind of curious then how that plays into. So Sukuna obviously sees Yuji use Cleave and Dismantle and acknowledges that he has the Shrine technique, right? Which does kind of suggest that Cleave and Dismantle is part of Shrine. But what's interesting is how he says it's kind of dependent on. He says, let me find the page. He says it's dependent. It can change like based on the era or. Like Yuji's mentality being different to Sukuna's, sort of the technique can manifest differently.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
It is interesting when we see it represented like the whole scissors on the wall instead of the grates that we usually see from Sukuna. And maybe that's because of how Sukuna was raised and like the era he came from, like he said, that I don't know what a common knife would be like back then for Cleave.
Yeah.
I'd have to do. This is totally off the cuff. I have no idea about like the historical knives of Japan, but maybe there is something from the Heian era that was used differently there. That's more.
I mean, it almost looks like, at least whenever I see Sukuna use dismantle, it looks like he just throws it aiming at his target, and it doesn't look like it's locked. But with the way Yuji's using it, it almost looks like he sets a target first, and then it slices, right? Although to be fair, I don't think, have we seen him throw dismantles, or is Yuji only using cleave? You have to make contact for cleave,
I think I
right?
only saw him make contact. I haven't looked at the
Yeah.
panels. I have to really look at the panels here.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
it looks
think he
primarily
does.
like. There's the one point where he punches some rocks, which could be, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm missing a point here. Maybe I'm just missing a part here. But the main thing is with I like you said, the era and his mentality does change it, and I hope it does because cleave and dismantle are a brutal technique, and having Yuji run around murdering people and like chopping things in half is a little insane. And if he does use this in a domain or something, and it's a little different from a standard Malevolent Shrine, because there's no way Yuji Itadori would pop off with a Malevolent Shrine. Like, that's crazy to me.
Definitely not a Malevolent Shrine. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but like, the whole Benevolent Shrine meme might actually become a reality. Like, if his mentality changes the technique, I can see Yuji fully just popping a shrine domain and it being not malevolent, because obviously that's not in Yuji's, it's not in his character to have a domain expansion which represents his mindset being called Malevolent Shrine. I do think his domain expansion will be a variation of Shrine for sure.
Yeah, I think it'll be a variation of Shrine as well. It's just like the main thing is Malevolent Shrine too evil for Yuji. Benevolent Shrine, I agree, it could be a real thing, as much of a meme as it was. If it is Benevolent Shrine, it might go hard. Like, it might really go hard, and it's not that stupid if they're supposed to be, like, either the same person or extremely similar. The spiritual nephew or, you know, the outright copy. They'll bring up that line. The one line where he says, because this is the part that has me thinking, like, maybe it's a translation error. Maybe it's just worded strangely. But if he's not Sukuna's twin, there are a few things that, like... First of all, it really seems like Gege Akutame would be doing a whole, you guys all guessed this, like, 3 years ago, and it was super obvious, but let me just change it at the last minute. So, like, it's his brother or his dad or something.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like it makes a lot more... I don't know how we're going to get there. That's why I kind of want to see the actual translations, but I feel it makes a lot more sense for Yuji to still be the twin, in a way, rather than just...
agreed.
Like, a descendant of the twin, I guess. Or, like, just a relative.
Like, Sukuna having it out for his spiritual nephew is crazy.
Yeah. I do love how Sukuna's, like, actually losing his mind fighting Yuji right now. That's so great to see.
Oh, that's actually a good point. And I want to ask you, what do you think about the editor last line with the whole
Let me find that.
Sukuna?
See, I mean, I think it's, like, obvious at the moment he hasn't surpassed Sukuna. Because, like, right now, he hasn't. Because even, like Sukuna said, he's inexperienced with it. His output with the slashes is low, even though he does share, like, a part of Sukuna's cursed energy, which I'm assuming, I think at this point, from having the curse wounds and having all that time being Sukuna's vessel, like, Yuji has a lot of cursed energy. And I don't think his output is anywhere near weak, but it's not at Sukuna level. You know, he's not going to touch Sukuna and then, you know, cleave him up into pieces like Sukuna would do to Yuji. But I think he's definitely got the potential with that technique to fully surpass Sukuna here.
Yeah, them saying he surpassed Sukuna, like, I don't think it's a direct power scaling at this point, because first of all, we don't even know, like, what the rest of this whole flame arrow is yet, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are jumping on it a little too soon. He definitely has the potential to, because like Uraume says at the beginning of this chapter, he should have the same potential as Sukuna, which is another thing that makes you wonder, where you're like, okay, so he should be the twin, right? Like, I know they reference it to the finger, but like him having the same potential, the whole I'm you thing with Mahito being like a direct callback here, and he's just a spiritual nephew, just doesn't hit for me as much.
Yeah, no, I think it will sort of explain. I think Jin Itadori has a lot of involvement, and I think it will be this sort of soul, or whatever is like passed down. But I do think Yuji isn't just the spiritual nephew. I think he is still, has the soul of the twin. And there needs to just be a bit more explanation there, I think.
If I read the one translated page here, this is a very early translation, like I was saying, Sukuna says, it's likely that his little affair in reference to Kinjaku was with the reincarnation of my other half, ... And there's another text bracket, and there's another text block, and he's like, I believe we share the same soul. So he could be saying that the product of the union with his reincarnation of his twin brother created someone with the same soul as him, or something like that. It is a little strange. Like, it is a little wacky. So I agree. I'm glad we're on the same page, and I think most people want it to be the twin. Like, just
that makes sense.
No. Another question for you, though, I have is, when do you think we're actually going to see a Sukuna defeat from this? Like, does this feel earned to you? If he actually beats him here? Yeah, I agree.
I still think round 2 is inbound. Like, I don't think it's ending with this 1v1. I think this round might end. Like, there might be an actual end to this fight, but I don't think it's going to be a, absolute Sukuna defeat, we move on to the merger or something like that. I think the fight with Sukuna is not going to be wrapped up just yet.
It just doesn't feel very earned. I think that's the way I'd feel about it. Is if he just beats him here and the narrator is like, oh, he had an awakening. I don't care how much the narrator tells me that Yuji is like Himothy. Him just popping off in the middle of it after like kind of like tweaking out the entire time over like, oh man, are we actually gonna beat him? It just wouldn't feel like the finale to me, but I definitely think we're setting it up. Like, I think, like you said, round two is inbound, and we still have all these characters that are still up and about, like Maki and Choso. They're still active, they just aren't present. And well, I mean, they are present, but they aren't like actively in combat with Sukuna currently for some reason. I'm not really sure why, to be honest.
I mean, I think Megumi needs to be a part of Sukuna's downfall as well. Like, I think that's a kind of, it's not going to be an outright Yuji beats Sukuna here to the point where he's, close enough to death that they can save Megumi and everyone's fine. Like, there's too much in terms of like Megumi and saving him. There's too much like still unsolved, and we don't know how we're going to do that for Yuji to just straight up beat Sukuna in this fight, and then that story's done,
Oh, I welcome all the Megumi preaching. Tell all the people that Megumi's coming back, because Megumi there's no way that like the finale of Yuji's arc isn't going to involve Megumi in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
And let's see what Chad has to say here for a second. Maybe someone's cooking. We never see Itadori's dad, so do you think Kinjaku killed his dad and did something with the soul and instilled it into the baby? That's a good thought, Outer Darkness. And I'm curious what you think about that, Allonsy, but I'll answer this with, it does seem like the whole soul thing, like Kinjaku got his hands on the soul of Yuji, of like Sukuna's brother, and I think that's what they're saying. And the dialogue is just strange, and even Miyamura messed it up. But to be fair, I don't always trust Miyamura's translations, because the leaked translations are usually like 60% accurate or like 70% accurate. But that's how I feel about that one. What about you? What do you think about him killing his dad to instill the soul into Yuji as an infant?
I actually think it makes a lot of sense. Where I would kind of take that theory is, obviously we know Kinjaku's got a lot of knowledge with the soul, and he's the one who taught Sukuna how to split his soul into the fingers, right? And it does refer to Yuji as a finger of Sukuna? It does, right? I'm fairly certain that's in here.
They say he sealed him. In the translation I read, it said that he had a finger of Sukuna sealed inside of him. And that's an interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up, but here, finish your thought first.
So I'm wondering if what Kinjaku... So obviously, I don't think this is necessarily all going to be explained in this chapter as well. I think there's probably a lot more info that we're going to get next chapter or just, later down the line. My idea right now would be that Kinjaku kind of had a finger of Sukuna, I guess, or maybe like the soul of Sukuna's twin, and using that somehow influenced, like he used it to, I don't know, create the Itadori like family tree or whatever. Like, because I think his grandfather looks a lot like Sukuna as well, which I don't think is a coincidence. I think there's still some relation there. So I'm wondering if maybe it is just as simple as like Kinjaku had a bit of the soul, and like it's been passed down the family or something. I don't know. Maybe Jin ate it, and then when Yuji was born, killed Jin, and then literally removed it, just like how like Sukuna sort of like turned himself back into a finger again and put it in Megumi, right? Maybe he just took the finger and put it in Yuji. I don't know.
It's funny you mentioned his grandfather, because I think of the three of them, of Jin Itadori, Yuji Itadori, and his grandfather, who I can't remember the name of right now. Jin looks the least like Sukuna, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, he looks the least like him. And he's supposed to be his twin brother, reincarnated. I don't know, dude. The spiritual uncle, dude, like Sukuna is... Well, if he has the same soul, which he said somebody has the same soul as him, like, it's a little confusing. I think it's Yuji, because that just makes the most sense. But if it is his twin brother, then Sukuna is his dad, in a way. They're identical. It's identical souls, the same person, basically.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And even twins are genetically identical, so either way, Yuji is like 50% Sukuna, guaranteed. Minimum 50%.
Yeah.
Twins aren't always identical. That's true, they aren't always identical, but look at them. Look at the ones look at the people we're talking about, though.
Oh, like, speaking of, I love that panel in this chapter where Sukuna hits Yuji's face with dismantle, I think, and it turns half of his face just like Sukuna's, with the second half sort of like being very different. And I just love that panel. I think it's really cool. It just reminded me of that by talking about twins. So there's a panel of Yuji's face all dismantled up, and he looks just like Sukuna. I'm trying to find it.
In this one? In this chapter?
Yeah, in this chapter.
Let me look at this. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
people do talk about fraternal twins a lot. That's true, but for the purposes of Jujutsu Kaisen, they're probably going to be identical twins, especially when they say they share the same soul. And if the body and soul are intrinsically linked, and the shape of your soul is like reflective, and they have these like of your physical form, and they have the same soul, they should look the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the whole thing with Yuji has surpassed Sukuna, though. I'm sure, like, people who are diehard... I mean, I'm a huge Yuji fan, so I should really jump on this, but people say that, like, it's already surpassed Sukuna. It just seems too soon. That's a crazy narrator statement to me.
I think he's surpassed Sukuna in Sukuna's current state. Like, right now, I would say, like, Yuji... having revealed Dismantle, he's hitting constant black flashes. Like, in the current state Sukuna is in, of how he's fighting right now, Yuji is stronger. But in terms of what Sukuna can be, it's not even close. Yeah, I don't think. His output's just not enough. He hasn't got the experience.
It looks like he's struggling here, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see, if they keep telling us this guy is, like, not going all out over and over. So until I see that stupid fire arrow, I'm always going to assume that, like, next chapter he's going to pop off. If something bad happens. Yeah. Like, that's the big issue. That's the issue I've had since Gojo versus Sukuna, where it's like, until we see that fire arrow, someone's getting cooked. Inevitably. Like, it's coming. Maybe Yuji will use it. Maybe it's like a big ol' it'll flip it all on its head. That'd be interesting.
I mean, I think it's... I've said this for a while. I made a video on it, like, a week ago or something. It definitely looks like what's happening now is Sukuna's coming to regret not going, because this whole thing about Sukuna's not going all out, you know? I think it's Sukuna's been playing around with his food for a little bit too long, and Yuji's just come in and gonna punish him for it by using his own technique against him, and Sukuna looks so pissed off, like he's screaming at him, so confused about why Yuji can use his technique. And I'm really glad we actually got to got to see that, because I think Yuji just fully punishing him for not taking this fight seriously and then using his own technique against him. I can't lie, it does hit different from when Yuta did it.
I feel like with him saying that to Sukuna's angry face in this chapter is like one of a kind. It is way better than any angry Sukuna face.
It's
like
so
he
good.
looks crazy. He looks like actually deranged in this one. But he's getting worked up, and we've seen Sukuna get worked up before he did some like crazy shit to somebody. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Though.
The thing
it
is,
just doesn't feel like there are too many characters active right now. Is my issue, where it's like if it was just Yuji versus Sukuna and like Megumi might pop out, but Maki, she's still active. Hakari is still on like his 20th jackpot now.
27th, probably.
27th, yeah. He's been looping
yeah,
the
Hakari,
whole album.
I can't lie, I just don't think Gege wants Hakari in this fight. I'm not gonna lie, I just don't think he wants him there.
Not yet. Not yet, guys. All my Hakari fans out there, he's coming. But you know you might be right.
Actually, I had an interesting point about the whole surpassing Sukuna thing, which you reminded me of by talking about Gojo versus Sukuna. Something I find really interesting is, so we know Sukuna from when Yuji was his vessel, Sukuna learned a lot about Gojo's abilities, right? Which gave him a pretty decent advantage, because Gojo taught Yuji about how Infinite Void works, he taught him about his Limitless technique, and then obviously Sukuna learned that information as well, which was helpful. I'm not saying he would have like lost if he didn't have the information, but it definitely helped him. What I find really interesting now, though, is that just exactly the same way, I'm wondering if Yuji, from being Sukuna's vessel, has seen how Sukuna's used his technique and has learned how to use Sukuna's technique better, or been learning, because of that experience being Sukuna's vessel, which would be a really nice comparison to how Sukuna basically did that to beat Gojo, and now Yuji's going to do the same, like using that experience from being his vessel, seeing how to use the technique, and sort of getting a head start.
Oh, I'd go even further
cool.
in that. I mean, I agree with that for sure. Like, he's partially learned the technique just by watching Sukuna, but that also plays into the whole thing that this guy has the same potential, or at least, you know, they don't directly say it here, he has the same innate potential, but they heavily imply he does, from somebody, like from Uraume, who has no reason to ever glaze Yuji. Like, there's no way.
That was crazy. That was crazy. When Uraume said that, I knew that Yuji was getting that power up, because I would never expect Uraume to say something like that. Even the thought was crazy.
But he was powerful enough. Like, if Yuji has the same innate potential, he should be able to eventually figure out the same way that Sukuna is, where he can just look at something and learn it if he has the capability to repeat it. Like, that is something Yuji should be capable of one day.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe now, and maybe this is the start of that with something like the cleave and dismantle usage. And I really hope that does happen, because Yuji kind of is. He is like a one-of-a-kind prodigy in Jujutsu, just like Sukuna was, apparently. Though I'm curious, it seems like Sukuna had a significantly harder life than Yuji did, because Yuji kind of just grew up in like a high school for 90% of it. Until like the last year or so, where everything went to shit. Rate the chapter 1 through 10, Quirkless. 10. Is there another option?
Oh yeah, easily.
That's one of the best chapters in a long time. Also, it's even better because it gives context to the whole series. When you reread Jujutsu Kaisen now, even if Yuji is just the spiritual nephew of Sukuna, that's Gojo teaching like Sukuna's family member brother. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Or like, or his, you know, depending how you view it, like his son.
See, I feel like another reason why Sukuna's not going to lose in this 1v1 against Yuji is that I just don't see it being a 1v1. Like, I think Yuji has to not do this alone.
I think he has to do it with
can't,
Megumi.
Yeah. But just like, yeah, Megumi needs to get up and, well, do something. I don't blame him for the situation he's in, but
I do.
You know, you do.
I do blame him.
No.
He needs to wake up. Dust
Oh, he
off.
does. I agree,
He
100%.
needs to dust off that depression. Just get in there.
To be
Yuji
fair,
is capable, but he won't reach Sukuna level because he needs to keep fighting after the good guys win and train. Yuji won't need to train after Sukuna's defeated, so he won't reach Sukuna's level. That's necessarily true. Depends how the world is. Depends what other... I mean, there's always the possibility another Gojo is born the same time period as Yuji.
Yuta.
Yeah, there is Yuta. But Yuta's going to be... I mean, Yuta got his moment to get exiled back to the waiting room.
Oh, he's not done yet. I'm holding out hope. Even if it's not for the Sukuna fight.
If they all come back... If they all come back to fight Sukuna, like Hakari bodies Uraume off screen, just comes back with her head, and they have Hakari come in, and Maki gets back up, Yuji is awakened, and Yuta is fresh with a fully manifested Rika. That would go hard, and I feel like that's what we might be building up to, because I do think there's a jumping happening before we actually get Yuji and Megumi versus Sukuna.
Yeah,
Megumi's
yeah,
got to
sure.
come back. For sure.
Well, I like the idea. And have like a huge theory about this, and I'd be sitting here talking about it for 3 hours. So I'll just like sum it up very briefly. But I think Yuji and his blood manipulation is kind of almost the representative of the Kamo clan in my mind. And then you've got Yuta, who's related to Gojo, even though he's not directly from the Gojo family, and neither is Yuji. And then Megumi being obviously probably the strongest Zenin at the moment. I think those three kind of representing, the big three, and then Maki with her heavenly restriction, those like the four horsemen kinda. I feel like that's the jumping we need. Hakari, I'm not gonna lie, I at this point I don't think he's gonna fight Sukuna. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
He's not gonna fight anyone on screen. It's just all gonna be like little updates, like you're getting letters about what Hakari's up to. He has been in that fight for a long time. And the issue with Hakari, I'm gonna go on a tangent here for a second since you brought it up. The issue with Hakari fighting Uraume is strong. Like they constantly present Uraume as strong, but whenever we see them, they don't really do anything. It's always like a still image of them talking, and then they get back to the fight we never see. So they feel worse than they are. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, yeah, we know nothing about Uraume. Like, realistically, no clue if they've got a domain. We know that they have RCT, lots of cursed energy, cool technique, but beyond that, we haven't even seen this fight with Hakari. We just know that it is still going on, and then not going down to the punch kick merchant, I
guess you could say the fight itself is frozen in time.
Literally. Just not gonna see the end of it.
It's just ice. Nobody wants to move. They're just sitting there because the area is very cold.
Jujutsu Kaisen's gonna end, and that fight is still gonna be going on.
Dude, that's the final fight of Jujutsu Kaisen. The merger occurs, ends, and then they're still fighting, and then everyone just comes back to like body her. Let's see. I've been thinking about this chapter since this morning. Sukuna is a case of a fetus infancy. When he opens the black box, he gets access to his twin CT that he ate in the womb. That's my theory. That would be crazy. Oh, well, he does kind of look like a conjoined twin. Like, that could have been what he was. Because he says in the translation that I read... Hold on. Let me take a look at this real quick. Let me double back. So there's a thing here where when he's talking about the actual fetus he ate in the womb, he doesn't fully remember it, which he shouldn't really. He says, I think it was in the womb, wasn't it? ? But before starving to death, I consumed that other half of me still in the womb. So it sounds like it was, it wasn't, he didn't just want to kill his brother. And I took this is my own interpretation, that when you have Yuji and Sukuna, Sukuna effectively lost his best friend he probably could have had in life before he was even born. Yeah. Which kind of sucks. And this guy's been bitter this guy's been bitter his whole life. Like he had like from the start. It wasn't out of like like it was the first thing Sukuna ever did was eat somebody, and it wasn't because he hated his brother necessarily. It was because he had to. He was starving. It's like a parasitic twin or something. People were saying 4 arms and 4 eyes. Twins have those, 2 mouths as well. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a doctor. But you're probably right that like if they are a conjoined twin, or that's just how twins were developed in the first place, it makes a lot of sense that he came out with like a deformed body.
Yeah, I mean that would kind of make sense as to why he referred to himself as like, oh, I probably would have been I was like a cursed child.
Cursed child, creepy kid, to quote John Murray.
Yeah, just cast out for being, well, I guess I'd be 4 arms, 4 eyes. I can definitely imagine that being a slightly difficult life as a child.
Yeah, a great power-up, though. An excellent power-up. Like, in anime, being ugly doesn't matter at all, dude. It's all about your battle potential. Yeah, he was cursed from birth. Yeah, he was. And, like, it does suck for Sukuna. And, like, you see this in the bitterness. I'm going to pull up the other image here.
This is why Kinjaku is just the most evil antagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen. Because Sukuna is, like, we don't really know enough. You can kind of see it, especially now that we have this information of, Yuji and Sukuna. But Kinjaku's just bored, wants to entertain himself, and ruining everything around him. And I don't think he's done yet.
Sucks. Kinjaku has like...
Yeah, he's just pure evil.
He is the worst. But when they have the whole stifle your misery quote, let me pull it up here, where you basically have, and this is the thing, another reason why I don't really like the whole thing where he's his spiritual nephew, because spiritual nephew is just fucking stupid. Okay, where it's like, yes, the son of my reincarnated brother, who is my spiritual nephew, my arch nemesis, is just wacky to me.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like, if Kinjaku had this knowledge, at that point, surely Jin Itadori would have just been a better, option, I guess. Like, why not just... It just makes sense to go with the twin.
Yeah, twin just hits more. It's just
Jin definitely, like, having the child with Jin definitely has a lot to do with it, but I'm so... I mean, maybe this is just cope because this is what I think it should be, but Yuji... that soul has to be the twin soul. Like, it can't... I don't see how... Because, they're just referring to, like, saying they share a soul, but apparently he's just the child of the person who had the soul. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
And it's that whole line. The biggest thing for me is that line where, the boy is from back then. He's from that time. Here, I have it here. Let me just pull it up real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you wouldn't say that if he's just come about now.
That makes no, like, from who? Like, he is from that time that Kinjaku banged my reincarnated brother and then made my spiritual nephew. I am your uncle. Like, it's just ridiculous. He's from that time. He is from that time. Especially with what we know now, it makes even more sense. He's like, he is from that time. I ate my brother in the womb.
I want to know what kind of binding vow Kinjaku made with Sukuna, because him sitting on that rooftop when Uraume and Sukuna were talking about Yuji and realizing that he is, like, well, potentially the reincarnation of his twin soul. Like, we know how much Sukuna hates Yuji. I feel like because Sukuna knows Kinjaku did this, like, Kinjaku set this all up, I don't feel like because he's been all, like, friendly with Kinjaku, not trying to fight him, hasn't really touched him at all. But he knows what Kinjaku's done, and I'm surprised he doesn't hate him for it. Like, there must be some kind of thing that's made him not go and...
Yeah, that binding vow.
It's got to be a binding vow also, because Kinjaku's, like, too careful with that kind of stuff. He wouldn't just be chilling around Sukuna.
He's fucking awful, dude. I'm so glad Kinjaku's dead. I really am. I'm so glad he's gone. Kinjaku was a character that, like, all of his, like, master planning looks really stupid when you actually look at all the things that could have gone wrong. It's like, alright, Yuji will definitely eat that finger at the right time and not instantly die to this cursed spirit that's just hanging out there. Well, it's just so convenient to me.
Nah, Kinjaku, I have faith. I know Kinjaku knows what he's doing. There's more to this. I don't think Kinjaku's done. He's still cooking.
I think he does have more to his plan. I think he's totally lying when he's like, it's just like, I'm just curious. That's horseshit. Like, there's no way.
See, yeah, I think there's so much we don't know. He is. I mean, I made a video on this as well. He's just a liar. Like he is just a textbook manipulator. Lies to the audience. Lies to like literally lies to everyone. Just manipulates everybody.
Oh, I think he's a liar too. Like I don't think he's been truthful with anybody.
Yeah, literally, no one.
There's more to his plan. Like I should say, I like him. I like him for the character. When I say I don't like Kinjaku, I just don't like he's very suave, and like he tries to act like he's always in control of a situation, or like he's totally not half the time. Like he is totally not in control of some of these situations. Like Yuki just grabs his foot and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm about to get sucked into a black hole."
That was when I realized he's not in control. Is when it was after his after the domain, well, not the domain clash because Yuki didn't try and domain clash. When he walked over Yuki after shredding her with his domain and said, "This could have been a lot more interesting if you had actually like challenged me in a domain clash rather than rely on Tengen." That was when I was just like, okay. So he went into this fight not knowing that he was gonna like definitely win. And I was like, okay, maybe he's not got as much control over this as I thought, because that could have gone so differently for Kinjaku.
I think Kinjaku had, I think he had a pretty good overall plan. We just don't know what it is yet. That's the big issue for me. Now, it does feel good overall now to fully say there were people for a long time who like to talk about how Yuji and Sukuna look nothing alike. Where are they? Where did they all go?
I mean,
they're all gone now.
I'm more curious about the people, the non-stop comments on every JJK YouTuber's video that says anything about Sukuna possibly losing Jujutsu Kaisen. Where are they now? They really read this chapter and still think Sukuna is like just gonna win. It's not possible at this point in the story. Like Sukuna does not just win. Some people actually convinced of the fact that Sukuna is just going to win Jujutsu Kaisen, which is crazy.
Some of the random ass comments from JJK, not really on YouTube, it's really more on Twitter. They have me like wanting to pack up my bags and just shut the whole thing down. So I'm like, who the fuck am I even talking to?
It's just so silly.
It's yeah. I don't know what else to put it. Where people were for a long time saying like Yuji and Sukuna can't possibly be related, and I'm like, clearly, they're clearly related. The whole story, like Jujutsu Kaisen, is a story about Sukuna and Yuji, and it always has been, and now it's just undeniable. And people are like, I think most people, like the silent majority, isn't dumb. They know what's going on. Like people aren't. Like most people expected a twin theory, or most people expected a relation to Sukuna, maybe not twins. But the vocal minority that would just yell at people and call people names for saying that they're going to be related.
Yeah,
here we are.
Silly.
Okay, and Moises Mercer, if I'm pronouncing that right, super chats. Ken took the white splash so Yuji can use a black flash. Thank you for your amazing,
incredible input there.
your profound super chat.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, dude, I mean, he's right. It is true. Fact and lore. Do you think Yuji is stronger than Hakari and Maki now?
Hakari, yeah, for sure. Maki,
yeah, definitely. He has Cleave in his mantle now. He didn't even have that before. He would have used it in the domain, I feel. I
don't know. I still feel like it. How they both are now. Like if they were to fight, I still think Maki beats Yuji.
No way.
Like
I mean, what's he gonna do against right now? Black flashes. What's she gonna do against like the dismantle and the cleave?
Nah, she confirmed Yuji's dismantles, no problem. The other thing is like, Yuji is. I think he's gonna be probably number 1 by the end of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Probably.
At least like easily top 3. Yeah, I think he'll surpass Yuta. If Yuta doesn't get 6 Eyes Limitless, Yuji will blitz way past Yuta. I've said it.
He just needs a domain. That's really about it.
There'll be some people in chat who know how crazy it sounds to hear me say that someone could surpass Yuta, but yeah, like he'll go top 3 for sure. But right now, I still think that's a close fight. Hakari though, slammed. No question, slammed.
Yeah, Hakari. I mean, jackpot. Until he runs out.
Like he's got. There's nothing really that actually suggests Hakari can heal soul damage. Like, I understand the arguments people make, but a lot of people say it as if it's a fact.
That's fair.
We don't know
fair.
that he can heal soul damage. Like, it's the same with Yuta. People say, like, he has awareness of the soul because of Rika and stuff. It's like, we don't know that. Genuinely, we just don't.
Sukuna, like, at this point, I mean, we now have confirmation, pretty much confirmation, that Yuji has identical potential to Sukuna. And, like, that alone, Sukuna's the strongest character in Jujutsu Kaisen. It's just there. Like, this kid is just ridiculous. And he is the newest sorcerer out of all of them. Still. He just cracked. He just utterly cracked. And, like, Sukuna must have been a total prodigy, because for the longest time, people asked the question, how did Sukuna get so strong? Well, now we know. He's just born that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously life circumstances change things as well. Like, I doubt, like someone was saying, like Calamity said, that Sukuna had to be put through pretty much hell to get this strong. And it might be partially why he hates Yuji so much, in that Yuji is a character that has had a pretty easy life up until very recently. And the one who's really responsible for all the awful things in Yuji's life is mainly Sukuna.
I don't know, I'd say Mahito actually takes a fair bit of that.
Mahito's a bum. Mahito, glad you brought up Mahito actually. Mahito's a character that really set up what we're seeing now with Sukuna. Like, he is very clearly just a front runner for the whole I'm you. No matter how many times you come back, I'll fight you again, because now we know reincarnation, like, these guys will be fighting through the rest of the time. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a line like that where Yuji beats Sukuna, or Sukuna turns himself into a cursed object, or Sukuna doesn't outright die at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, but Yuji's like, no matter how many times you come back, I'll be there.
I still think Sukuna's got to be locked up inside Yuji. It's not good enough for him to just die. Like,
can he even die permanently? That's the real question.
I mean, that's a good point, because, like, he's still a cursed object. And those things are supposedly indestructible. Now, Jacob's Ladder apparently can. But, you know, he's Sukuna, so
I mean, his soul
who really knows?
As far as we know.
Yeah.
They get reincarnated. And maybe, like, Sukuna's... I mean, they say they have the same soul, so, like, maybe next Sukuna will be a little less of a shithead than this one. But, yeah, this guy's kind of been, like, avoiding the whole reincarnation thing, which is you're supposed to be a better person in your next life, and he never got to the next life. He just lives in, like, this one giant, endless, I'm a finger and now I'm a guy again. Let's see. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, it's interesting about the like the next Sukuna and stuff, because I also think the conclusion of Jujutsu Kaisen, especially because I don't think Gege has any interest in writing anything more than the story of Jujutsu Kaisen, like when it's finished. I think it ends with a way of, like, removing cursed energy from the world, or, like, curses, just like Yuki and Geto wanted. I think that's the overall. I don't know. I have no clue how that's going to happen, but I do feel like that is where we're going to head. That's like the actual villain of Jujutsu Kaisen is cursed energy.
Oh, totally. It's totally cursed energy. So yeah, Rambo's super chats. I'll touch on that point in a second. Let me just read this. Rambo asked, it says, I need a better explanation, because how did Yuji's dad become a reincarnation? What about the granddad? The story of Kinjaku and Yuji's dad doesn't make sense. And thank you very much for the super chat, first of all, Rambo. And to answer your question, I agree. I think it is really goofy to have him be the spiritual nephew, or have his dad be in the reincarnation. Just make it Yuji. Just have Yuji be the reincarnation. There is, like, the whole, like, it's right there. You clearly want to have him have a twin. I can't see any reason to not make Yuji the twin. It makes the story better. It makes the context of all their conversations better. It makes the context of Gojo taking in Yuji better. And it's also something that's already in the story. Sukuna canonically has a twin. Reincarnation is guaranteed. It's just suddenly an uncle. It's just strange. Just strange choice, and it feels. I'm not in Gege Akatame's head, but it feels like a subversion of expectations if that's the case, because so many people had already predicted this, and like anybody who's gloating about like, I don't think it's worth gloating about. Oh, you got the twin theory right, because twin theory is so old. It's like as old as Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever meant to be this big secret either.
Like, did you ever read Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire or watch the show?
I've watched the show. I've not read them.
So you know how Jon, this is I'm just calling a minor spoiler. Like, you know how Jon Snow is Rhaegar Targaryen's son, and
Yeah.
everybody knows he's Rhaegar Targaryen. He is Rhaegar Targaryen's son the entire time. It's not like this big thing that like, oh wow, is it a mystery? No, but what everyone's waiting for, what you're waiting for, is the payoff. And like, I feel that way about Jujutsu Kaisen, where the reaction of the characters in the world and what that means for his place in the world is the interesting part of Yuji being Sukuna's twin brother, or Jon Snow being Rhaegar Targaryen's son, because the world sets it up in a way that these characters are so important that their lineage comes back into play in a massive, like, world-changing way, even though we all know it's going to happen. And taking that away from the story, like sniping that out of the story, sniping that away from, maybe in the case of Jon it'd be worse, but for Yuji it still feels a little bit like that, where you're kind of robbing a character of due payoff, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I mean, I think it does. I think if it is just like this spiritual nephew thing straight up and he's not the twin, I think that's a big blunder from Gege, because he really should be. But I do think it will still end up. I don't think it's necessarily even going to be explained fully in this chapter, because, you know, Gege likes to do that a lot. We'll get little pieces of information, and they won't all necessarily be in the same chapter. So I'm okay waiting for that. But I think it has been like clearly set up that Jin Itadori and just Itadori's family does play a role in this, because Kinjaku having the child with Jin and with like his grandfather sort of also looking like Sukuna as well, just like Yuji does, it has been set up from the beginning. So I think, I don't know if I'm hoping there's just been some like misunderstanding in translation here, or it's not fully explained yet. I do think the spiritual nephew is so ridiculous if that's the case.
I can't get over the name.
If that's the case, it's just ridiculous. But I think I'm hopeful that it won't turn out to be that, and I do think Jin Itadori has been set up to be some part of this, because obviously Kinjaku had the child for a reason.
We're in full agreement on this. Absolutely, it's a flub in my opinion. If he's spiritual nephew. Anthony super chance. I feel like the narrator stating that Yuji currently having 2 curse techniques implies that he may get more. I think I agree, Anthony. I think if they are the same person, if Yuji and Sukuna have the same soul, or like the same power set, the same innate potential, Sukuna probably eats people too and gets curse techniques, because so far that seems to be the way that Yuji got his, for the most part.
I mean, the way I think Shrine works is just like Yuki said, the brain's like memory can only store about like 3 to 4 curse techniques. I feel like Shrine is literally just a curse technique for storing curse techniques. I mean, that's what a shrine is, right? It's like a collection. Yeah,
it's a place of worship, collection of weapons. It would make sense. Like, if the curse technique shrine is what grants you the power to be a vessel. But they do say a vessel like this comes once every 1,000 years. And my first takeaway there was always like, okay, he is some like vessel man. With that, like, it's gotta be Sukuna's the first one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a poll in. Do we think is being a spiritual nephew stupid?
That's a crazy title. Spiritual nephew. Yuji being Sukuna's twin is lame? What the hell?
It's okay. Everyone's entitled to bad opinions.
I'm curious to know what we rather it be though.
Yeah, it's who would you rather it be? Or just Yuji being a random guy. It's a strange take. Why spiritual? Because of funnier title. And also because it's like, it's not literally his brother, it's a reincarnation. So it's like in spirit, you know, same soul.
His Jujutsu nephew.
Yeah, his Jujutsu nephew, dude. Spirit. Yeah, it's a strange thing.
JJK isn't about plot anyway. I think Gege has said many times all he cares about in Jujutsu Kaisen is the story.
It just happens to have a really good power system too.
Yeah, like when you actually look at it, it's the reason why Jujutsu Kaisen is criticized so much for having poor world building is because Gege has done such an amazing job with building the potential for really good world building. It's just that he's not going into it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's difficult in the first place to even create a story that could have that kind of potential, you know? The fact people want it that badly and it's so possible is like why Jujutsu Kaisen is great. It's just disappointing that we're probably not going to get much more beyond this story.
Yeah, he wants it done. That's pretty clear. And I think JJK is... It's probably ending this year after this chapter. I think that's right on track.
Yeah.
How much more do you need? Like, Gojo's not coming back, guys. Like, there's no fucking way at this point. Like, they'd have to... Like, are you going to have a Gojo come back to fight Sukuna after Yuji is, like, revealed to be directly related to him? It seems like such a steal. Like, a kill steal. A total kill steal.
No, I'm not going to lie. I fully see Gojo still coming back. Like, I think I'm very... It's one of two things for me. And one of them is a lot less plausible than the other, even though I prefer it, is Gojo will either come back or Yuta will inherit the Six Eyes. Genuinely, I believe one of those two things will happen by the end of Jujutsu Kaisen.
I don't think Jujutsu Kaisen needs Six Eyes at all to function. That's just how that's where I'm at with that. And I don't really see like...
They're gone.
Like, if Gojo does come back, let's say Gojo comes back after it's all over, like, yeah, he's gonna be Christian Bale at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I mean, I see like, yeah, Gojo can return for the merger creature. I agree that I think Tengen, this whole story with Tengen and how closely tied it is to the Six Eyes, I see Tengen as Gojo's problem. Like, Gojo failed to ensure the merger, and I see it as when Tengen becomes a problem, if Tengen becomes a problem, I guess that's the important part. It's like, if Tengen does become a problem, I would then say that's more so Gojo or Yuta's. More so Gojo. I can see an argument for Yuta, maybe just because I'm that drugged up on copium, but I think that's their story to kind of tie up and finish. And I think that's the only scenario in which I'll be happy with Gojo coming back. Otherwise, I'm not a fan. I don't want him coming back with, like, no powers and just for the character. I think his story is fine as it is. The only way I do see it actually happening is to tie up that story with Tengen, which I see as his problem, not Yuji's.
I think that's fair. Yeah, if he comes back for the merger. I'm not really against Gojo coming back. I'm more so, I just don't want it to be stupid. I want the explanation to be good.
That's the only good explanation I can think of. Otherwise, I want him to stay as he is.
What did he do? Like, there's got to be some crazy hacks to get yourself back from being the position he's in, which is, you know, multiple positions. 2 to be specific. 3, really. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, as for how he'd come back, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't mind Gojo coming back if it's done well.
That's why I think, like, fully just, like, Gojo dying, and then, because we know nothing about how it works, like, I fully see Yuta just inheriting the Six Eyes. Just straight up, like, just fate or whatever this thing is that Gege keeps writing about. It's just like, yep, here you go. Relation to Gojo. Take him. And then that's how the merger gets dealt with. I know that's, like, so... That looks like such copium.
I don't think Yuta's getting... I'd be surprised if Yuta even... I don't think he's getting Six Eyes.
Why, were you going to say you don't think Yuta's coming back?
No, I don't think Yuta's...
That's crazy.
To be honest.
Wow.
He's just
there.
I'm
standing by Yuta.
I think Yuta got his moment as, like, a side character in Jujutsu Kaisen. I know people call him the MC all the time, but, like, he's just strong. Like, in Jujutsu Kaisen, the main series, he's just a strong character. Like, that's what he does. He just does strong things. Like, his arc is over. There's nothing left, really. He's just kind of there to fight. And like I
I
know
see
like
that.
he's a legacy MC, like he is important, and like that's why he gets a bigger moment than like Maki or Hakari do, because he is
Yeah.
there's more thematic weight to something Yuta does than something they do, but Yuji cannot be overshadowed by him.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling to figure out is like I feel like the way it's been set up, like the merger and Tengen, well, I mean they're both kind of the same thing, has to play some part in the story moving forward. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the idea that the merger will be the big bad, because I feel like that will happen after Sukuna's defeat. And no matter whether Yuta or Gojo comes back or whatever, I still feel like the big bad being the merger is just completely overshadowing Sukuna and Yuji's story. Which is, if Tengen becomes a problem, at that point I just have to accept it and be like, okay, I mean, then I'd be cool with Gojo coming back.
Oh, it's a
I just
Ten
don't
Tails
like
fight
the
all
idea
over
of
again.
I just don't like the idea of the merger being like the big bad after this whole series being set about Yuji and Sukuna.
I think that's a good thought, and I can definitely see. I actually kind of agree there that like I don't think the merger creatures should overshadow these characters, and that Yuji and Sukuna, like if you have like a big merger fight, and then you have a battle with everyone else against or you battle with Yuji and Sukuna against our boy with Megumi. Sorry, I'm totally getting lost in my thought here, but Yuji and Megumi versus Sukuna while everyone else fights the merger. That would be interesting, but the thing with the merger is I feel like the merger going off is gonna be something else. Like I feel like there's at least 2 more major plot twists in store for us. We're at like the tip of one here with the whole reincarnation thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think my ideal that I've been thinking of the best way to fit the merger in is not to have this like just giant creature boss battle, you know, at the end. I think that would be a bit underwhelming. As cool as it would be to see that fight, like I don't really see it happening. I think the merger should be a tool for ridding cursed energy for the world that is used in their favor by Megumi. I feel like that's the best way to have the merger like heavily involved in the story and not overshadow Sukuna as like the big bad of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, I agree. Definitely. It's one of those things. So the merger, like Kinjaku, like you said, Kinjaku's a liar.
Yeah.
Kinjaku never tells the truth. Like, there's a plan for the merger that goes beyond, like, haha, look, a big Godzilla thing that is cracking over Japan. I think Master Planner Kinjaku is going to reincarnate in the merger. What do you think about that?
It's possible. It is fully possible. I don't really see why that would influence anything, to be honest. Like, whether Tengen's the mind of the merger or, you know, Kinjaku, why would Kinjaku want to become this big
he
curse
puts
monster?
his brain in the curse monster.
Like, why is that? The Kinjaku, I know he's a liar, but I don't see his end goal being I want to be this giant curse creature, you know?
That's because that's why you're not Kinjaku. You don't understand chaos. It's all about at the end of life, you become Godzilla. You embrace nihilism and become Godzilla.
Yeah, I did see a theory that I mean, I guess it's not really a theory, just more of an idea that it would be pretty cool if that is how it went with using the merger to get rid of cursed energy, because obviously, you know, with Kinjaku and Geto, especially with that being Geto's end goal as well, I feel like would tie up that side of the story quite nicely.
Geto. God. Yeah, 2 very different ways of going about it, if that's the case.
Well, yeah. Realistically, I'm sure Geto is completely fine with Kinjaku's plan. Either the curse will kill all the humans or rid all the cursed energy. Like,
oh my god, dude. He's like, I wish I could have done this.
Chilling.
I could have done this. Someone asked, what is the consensus? What's the consensus on the nephew relationship? I think nephew's fine. I think it's a flub compared to them being twins, but like it works. Like, it's not gonna break anything. It might be a little weird in some dialogue, but I do think it's gonna wind up with them being twins.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. I think like we have like 1 bit of dialogue on it currently, and that's the only thing that's like confusing people. In like unofficial translations, I might add. Not that John Weary is ever to be trusted, but
God no.
Like we're in like early translations. I'd probably wait for TCB personally.
Yeah.
Nephew is weak. They should have been twins. Yeah. Yeah. Preach, Jamaica Queens.
I think they
is a
will be.
Sukuna victim. Yeah, I mean, they kind of. It's really weird. It's a really weird decision to be nephew.
It's so random. Like yeah, do you know what? I think I do agree with, if that is the case, it is fully just subverting expectations from Gege. Because that's so random otherwise. Like, why would you write that in as a thing? It means nothing that he's the nephew.
At all, dude.
Other than just, it's not what we expected.
I tracked down Sukuna's twin brother reincarnated to make a kid. Like, it's just strange. Okay, but why? Because it's just less thematically resonant than them being twins. It's like, he's just a nephew of him. There's a lot of callbacks to twins throughout all Jujutsu Kaisen, like Maki and Mai. Things like Jacob's Ladder itself is a story about twins, and like obviously the idea of Sukuna having a twin is something that Gege Akutami wants to do. They just made it a character we know next to nothing about instead. And there's also there's a thematic weight to having Yuji be one of the only truly reincarnated sorcerers in the entire series as well, where we have all these other sorcerers running around as incarnated cursed objects, their original egos intact, where Yuji is a wholly new person. It's a wholly new person with an entirely different ideology, like with the same souls as, the guy who's been living for 1,000 years effectively. I think that's pretty interesting to me, especially with the idea that Kinjaku, the thing Kinjaku could not account for, was Yuji's personality.
I don't think he can account for it, but I think it was somewhat planned. In that Kinjaku didn't raise Yuji, he just put him in the world and gave him a normal life. And even showed gratitude towards, even though he's a big liar and I don't believe a word he says, supposedly showed gratitude towards Yuji's school friends of just I think it was in Kinjaku's plan to just have Yuji grow up a very normal, stable life. For a reason.
Yeah. That's true. But what I more so mean is Yuji, if Yuji has the same soul as Sukuna, Yuji is a redemption for him, in that sense.
Yeah.
It's a second chance for this guy who, let's be real, Sukuna shouldn't reincarnate even if there is a Sukuna too. That guy wants to live for as long as he can.
Yeah. He's just, like you said, he's just bored.
Yeah.
And he's just, passing the time. Even, this is what I'm saying, is, when he fought Gojo, and there's that panel of him going, for the first time in 1,000 years, Sukuna felt nervous. It's Sukuna was probably, genuinely nervous in points of that fight. I don't think he was lying. I think he was nervous. He was that Hollow Purple could full-on kill me here. But he wasn't angry. Right now, he doesn't necessarily think he's going to lose to Yuji, but the whole point is that Yuji is fully making him lose his composure. If he goes out to Yuji, that will anger him. If Sukuna lost to Gojo, I don't think it would actually anger Sukuna. I guess he wouldn't be around for us to know, but it wouldn't anger him. He was never frustrated in that fight. But against Yuji,
he doesn't
that possibility to him.
I'm sorry, continue your thought.
No, it is just that Yuji makes Sukuna completely break his mindset. Sukuna just goes about life so carefree, doing whatever he wants until he dies, and he seems perfectly at peace with the idea, but not when Yuji's involved.
Yeah, it is. The thing, he doesn't hate what Gojo represents.
Yeah.
Gojo's a strong guy. Gojo tried to reach him, but in Sukuna Kaisen, the only one that can reach Sukuna is, Sukuna, which is Yuji, apparently.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. The satisfaction he's going to find is from who I hope is his brother. Because I think that makes a lot of sense. So like I said, there is a certain tragedy. There's a human tragedy behind most of the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen and their family lives. JJK really is about family. What's Dom Massetti mean? Not Dom Massetti. What is it? The Vin Diesel character. It's all about family.
Oh yeah.
It really is all about family. It's about family lines. It's about Gojo takes in the son of two people that are out to kill him. He takes in Megumi. He takes in Yuji. He takes in or even Maki, who's another student of his, like they all come from pretty shitty backgrounds. Like unless
It
you're
saves-
Noritoshi Kamo,
Yeah.
like he had a great home life. He's like, I love my parents, and we're leaving. We're going to like South Korea or something, and you're like, okay, I guess this is why you're not a main character, because you don't have trauma. Sukuna still has 10 shadows, right? I mean, it's somewhere in there, probably. They probably can't use it, or at least doesn't want to. Like, what's he gonna pull out? The rabbits?
Yeah, there's like nothing really left for him to use.
He's like, here's my breadcrumbs, Megumi, good luck.
He can maybe pull out like little rabbit Mahoragas, but who knows how that works.
There's the totality stuff. I'm sure, but like, I'm sure however long the totality takes, it'll be the perfect amount of time for Megumi to come back and use it before Sukuna.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I see Megumi just having this like big ass, because I think it will go into the, what are they called, divine dogs, demon dogs. Yeah, his dogs, Megumi's dogs, the one, well, the dog that he like really loves, his first one. The way Ten Shadows works is totality. It's passed on to the next Shikigami, and because Mahoraga is the end of the cycle and the dog is the start of the cycle, that ability would pass on to the dog. So Megumi's going to come back with this, divine dog totality Mahoraga and just fry Sukuna with Yuji. That's genuinely how I see it going.
Yeah, me too. And I do hope the whole Megumi Chimera Shadow Garden is like a domain clash is saved for Megumi. I hope.
Open
like,
domain.
Characters like are clearly, even if it's not open domain, just have like Megumi stall them in the Malevolent Shrine, like a little mini arc of like Megumi and Yuji have to escape from the Malevolent Shrine. We've already seen Megumi interact with domains that are just like dead ass better than his before, like Dagon's domain, where he was like, okay, let me open it up, like I don't have a barrier. So he's tried it before.
I think Megumi just fully learns to complete his domain as an open domain.
That would be kind of neat. I see the vision. I see what you're going for.
Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't really make sense because he's sort of like, I don't think he's learning anything from Sukuna, but it would kind of make sense if he came out and was just like I've observed you with this open domain. Like I can complete my domain now, and it's gonna be an open barrier. And then he domain clashes Sukuna, and Yuji just blitzes him.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of interesting, only because the whole like the open barrier has now, the lack of barrier he has now is already like a strange domain. Like Megumi's learning a domain has always been an odd thing, where he's like, oh, it's incomplete, oh, it's like weird. Like he just takes a dramatic leap very quickly. That's already set up, so I think you might be right. Open domain wouldn't be the dumbest thing, and as long as they have like an explanation for it, because characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, like random power-ups or like leaps in skill happen all the time, where characters struggle to do something and then it clicks.
I mean, it makes sense for Megumi as well, because he is just that guy when it comes to the like being a prodigy of Jujutsu. Like he is just whipped out a domain expansion in his first year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, he did. That was crazy. Earlier than Gojo did. Definitely a prodigy. But he doesn't really see it that way because he's comparing himself to Sukuna, basically. What he's doing? Like the whole time he's sitting there like, oh, Yuji's better than me. This kid that has like equal potential to the strongest guy in the whole series. That's crazy. To like the best sorcerer ever. That's insane.
Yeah, Megumi just needs to focus on himself a little bit.
Yeah, he does. Like maybe don't compare yourself to like
the strongest.
This like, oh man, he's just a one in the universe's history sorcerer. Okay. Comparing yourself to others is always a bad thing. Megumi needs to learn that. Hopefully he does now, though, once he gets over the depression.
Yeah. He needs to take inspiration from Sukuna and not compare himself to Sukuna or Yuji.
Yeah. Don't compare yourself to, like, the Gojo, Yuji, Sukuna. I think he's going to take Sukuna's ideal of, like, you should have cast aside everything, more so than Yuji is, because I don't think Yuji has a lot to learn from Sukuna, like his ideology, because Yuji has that overwhelming sense of self. He's just not malicious.
Yeah.
Like he has that dog in him. Megumi had a dog, but now he's just kind of in the abyss. And his dog is dead.
Yeah,
and his
I'm
dog
hoping
got,
he's
like purple. What happened to Divine Dog Totality? It was part of Agito, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was.
No,
I
that's
think
just
it's
the New A clause.
it's completely fine. It's just that's why I'm like certain that the dog will play a part in Yuji's return, because Gege has been very careful since Sukuna had 10 Shadows not to get the dog involved. Like, he used it against Yorozu, and he used it in a way like it was half manifested as shadows, specifically so that it wouldn't die if it was exercised by Yorozu, which is just like the only time that's happened. I think the dog it's completely fine.
He likes that dog.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Agito can get like suctioned into a blue ball, but we're never gonna pull out the dog. Yeah, Agito is Nue, Tiger Deer, and one more.
A snake, right?
Snake. I feel like it should be the snake. But then
yeah,
Nue
sure
does have like a tail. It's like a snake, doesn't it?
No, because Nue, it's because the snake died in like.
It's still very easily solved. I mean,
7th
actually
chapter
reading
or
the
something.
fucking chapter, but
Because Nue is like Nue and the serpent now. Like, ever since Sukuna summoned it when he first took over 10 Shadows.
makes me want to talk about make a Mahoraga video again, because Mahoraga was so cool. Even Gojo knew that it was allowed to hang. You know, he said like, Agito, you're not supposed to be here, but like Mahoraga, he's cool.
Someone tried to tell me on Twitter the other day that Mahoraga could beat Gojo. Like, this was a few days ago, after we've obviously seen what Gojo did to Mahoraga, genuinely trying to tell me that Mahoraga can beat Gojo.
No, Mahoraga,
Like, he can.
No,
He can bypass Infinity, but he's not going to. Like,
maybe if,
no
if
1v1.
Gojo was really stupid, it could beat him eventually. Gojo was like so brain dead that he just like slowly let it adapt to everything, because like Gojo's not punching Mahoraga to death.
yeah.
Like, he ran out of all of his entire technique. That's the only way.
Do you know what? There's
you
only
have to wait until it gets like the perfect world slash.
Yeah.
People say.
I mean, even then he missed. Like, yeah, he had a world slash and he missed. He got his arm.
Yeah. That's why he has to get the perfect one. You gotta line it up better. He's gotta keep upgrading. He's gotta adapt his like little targeting system. Mahoraga is gone though, or Makura is gone. Yeah, but if we all forgot about Totality, I feel like people like just forget that's even a function in the
Yeah, Mahoraga's like ability is still very much in play, even if it's not the big Mahoraga monster you're used to. Like, the adaptation is still definitely like in the 10 Shadows kit.
Yeah. The 10 Shadows kit should definitely be there. Like, Mahoraga should be, like, the totality of a Mahoraga should be the finale, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mobius super chats earlier that I missed. Sukuna being Yuji's Raditz is funny. Raditz, what is that even from? It's a DBZ. Yeah, it's DBZ. I don't read DBZ, guys. I'm sorry. I know. Fraudulent anime behavior.
I've been given a massive list of stuff I apparently need to read and watch.
Don't listen to it. You already read the best thing. Why expand your media knowledge?
Yeah, true.
That's not what anime fans do. We just lock in on one thing and pretend it's peak.
That's my Attack on Titan, honestly.
That's what we do. Yep. We just watch one thing and we just like repeat peak on Twitter all day.
Yep.
Guys. That's it, guys. You guys know. Just like, you know, media literacy is for people with free time, not us. Not us talking for an hour on stream about Jujutsu Kaisen.
You know, the only thing I didn't like about this chapter, and it means not realistically, I know it means nothing to the story, but I've been so hyped for so long about Ino's fourth beast, the one that supposedly no one has ever survived. I was so hyped to see it get summoned, and then it just got instantly obliterated by Sukuna. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I didn't think it would do anything, but
no
still.
No one's ever survived. Who have you used it on? Like, you know.
Like grade 2 cursed spirits. No one's ever survived.
A 100% kill record on all the scrolls I've used it on.
Well, I'm hoping we open the next chapter with Yuji. I really want Yuji to pick up that cursed tool and hit Sukuna with a 7-3 Black Flash. It's so cool.
Oh, DJ Mills says, Allonsy, I love your content, man. Big fan. He's a fellow YouTuber.
Oh damn, no, I know. I've checked out a few of his videos. Yeah, you got pretty cool content. Oh, how nice.
Glad to see you here, DJ. He does a lot of Chainsaw Man. But I need to get back into, but Chainsaw Man's hard to cover.
Yeah, no, when I read Chainsaw Man, I mean, me being incredibly slow and needing to read things many times, I checked out a few of your videos and it helped me grasp Chainsaw Man a lot more. So I appreciate it. Chainsaw Man did lose me though. I think I got to like chapter 157. I was just like, I don't know what's going on here anymore.
It also lost me a little bit until it's over. I feel like it's something you can read at once. Well, that's the kind of series, like, if you stumble on Chainsaw Man years after it's all finished up, you're blessed, pretty much.
So I'm just like, I'm a big character person. Like, that is my main thing in any kind of story, is the characters. So any sort of switch up like Chainsaw Man had, I don't want to drop any like major spoilers, but if you know what I mean, then like obviously you know, that just doesn't, that does not hook me at all.
I think the new characters are better. I would give it a try. I think I think like the new characters are better than the old ones.
I've read it. I just don't like them. So I don't think they're bad. But I just got attached to those old characters. I really like them.
I mean, that's fair. I ain't a Chainsaw Man stan. You can shit talk it all you want.
I can definitely see why people like it though.
I can't. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. I made a whole video about why I like that thing. I'm a fucking fraud if I were to say that. DJ Millis says, Quirkless, you doing big things too. Also, CSM Part 2 is a hit or miss with everyone. I'm conflicted myself. Thanks, DJ. And you guys, you should check out DJ Millis. Great YouTube creator. Does Chainsaw Man content and some Jujutsu Kaisen content, like we were saying. Chainsaw Man is weird to read week to week, especially now. Yeah, because like every chapter feels like it's half a chapter sometimes. But I digress. Where were we on the Jujutsu Kaisen train before we got sidetracked?
I was glazing Ino a little bit before I realized that he is just a grade 1 fraud. But
he's just a grade 1, and Sukuna is Sukuna. Like, this guy just comes in with this giant dragon. It's like, I can hang, and just gets one shot pretty much. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's pretty embarrassing.
How do you feel about Kinjaku being Sukuna's spiritual sister-in-law? That's crazy.
Oh, dude, he introduces himself as like, I was making a joke to my friend about this, where Sukuna's like, I've never had an adversary, someone I've hated as much as the son of my sister-in-law who married my reincarnated brother who I ate in the womb.
That is mental. How did Gege think this stuff up?
Like, why I need to know. That's like, he's like, yes, this is much better than twin.
This is peak. The spiritual nephew, spiritual sister-in-law.
Quirkless Shinobi is the most mysterious JJK YouTuber. What does he really want from us? Our CTs? Who knows? Mysterious.
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? Mysterious. Basically, that face reveal. Oh, yeah.
I feel like a lot of JJK YouTubers haven't, right?
Yeah, most of them actually. I'm going like
That's not unusual.
No-op, Zonin. That's about it. That's all I can think of. Oh, and 100.
Yeah.
Speaking of 100, I gotta get him in here at some point. We were messaging the other day, other week.
Him and who was I checking out recently? Jaded. Yeah, their channels are pretty sick. Enjoy the content a lot.
Yeah, I need Jaded to go and educate me. He promised last time, said he'd teach me Premiere Pro.
Oh yeah. Premiere Pro is the way.
I bought it. I'm just like burning money here at this point. Like, I was like, okay, I got it. And well, I can't learn a new one, or else just like my video release will be horrific.
I actually saved so much time. I've got when I first started, it took me like 2 weeks to make a video. Like, literally my first video took me 2 weeks to make. And now I've got all my presets ready. I can bang out a video in a day. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I hear Premiere Pro is good. I kind of want to make different types of content with it, though. I don't know. I just finished watching the Fallout TV show. I've always been a big fan of Fallout. We'll talk about that one day. I don't know what the overlap with that and anime is, though. I'll probably just make a whole new channel for it, to be honest.
Yeah, there's so much stuff I want to talk about. I'm just in such a JJK mindset at the moment. I can't bring myself to do a video on anything else.
The hyperfixation that is usually the result of mental illness is my favorite way to create content.
It really is. There are so many things that I have a passion for. I mean, obviously, you know, from my name and profile picture, Doctor Who is like my whole childhood. I'd love to make stuff about that, but I'm just such a JJK mindset at the moment. I can't break out of it.
Was the show good? I liked it. But I'm also like way too invested into Fallout. Bro fought Toji and Sukuna and lived. It couldn't be Gojo. Here we talk. Oh yeah, Ino.
Oh, Ino.
Yeah, if he got bailed out, and like a lived is pretty. A lived is more like an oh thank God he lived, not like an oh man he survived. Like a badass. Like he got his ass beat by Toji. Like absolutely smashed.
ADHD Kaisen. That could not be more true.
Yep, it's very true. That's how we all.
That perfectly sums up my channel.
You need like that weaponized ADHD on YouTube. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's keep derailing the stream. What time is it? It is approximately 85 minutes in. Yeah, this is about time the stream always gets derailed. The series looks good. Fallout peak. Yes, it is. Fallout's great. Fallout's a great universe. All the way back from Fallout 1 to Fallout. I played them all. All of them all. Huge fan. Huge fan. And ever since that TV show came out, suddenly it seems like everyone I've ever watched on YouTube has been a quote-unquote lifelong Fallout fan. How convenient the moment it became monetizable. What were you saying? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, what was I saying? That's a good question. I have no idea.
Resummon it, dude. We'll resummon it.
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I don't have anything to say. Just read some comments. I think we're probably gonna slow it down here. This is gonna go for like an hour and a half here, and we're about to hit that limit, and we're about to totally derail here. But if you have any final thoughts, this would be the time to say them. Anything about the chapter?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to point out for all the people saying JJK was repetitive cycle of Sukuna, like looking like he's gonna lose and then kills him. Sukuna has not killed someone since Higuruma, and we don't even know that for sure. That's literally it. That's all I have to say. Is I hate this repetitive cycle comment.
Yeah, the repetitive cycle.
Clear that up.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Like Yuji, we just got a major plot reveal. Like it's one of the biggest plot reveals in the entire series that he has a twin, and it's only going to start here. So the whole like repetitive cycle thing, like Yuji is an MC. This might not be the final victory, but it's on the path. That's how I feel. But that's all I have for this one, guys. I'll read over the chat, see if anyone has anything to say, and see if I've missed any super chats. So I'm not a fraud. Okay. Let's see. What do you think happened to Jin? They probably murdered him. Like I don't think Kinjaku leaves. At least ends.
Yeah, dead.
Yeah, definitely, definitely dead.
I doubt Jim is anyone's favorite character though, so I think we're all good.
Is he even a character really?
No.
We got more background about who he was as a fetus than like as a person.
Yeah.
It was still repetitive, even if not that many people died. I mean, it was like what? 2 fights after Kusakabe. Maki came in.
Hey, the Kusakabe fight was awesome, bro.
He kind of had to have these characters fight. Like he had Yuta and Yuji come in, and then they fought together, and then we had Maki roll up, and then Kusakabe rolls up, and then Miguel. I think it all flows pretty well if you just read it as one. It was a pain in the ass in serialization, though. I agree. It felt slow at times.
It's repetitive because a chapter gets released each week. Like that's just the nature of what it is, you know. When you actually look back on it, it was just cool fights, really cool moments leading up to a great reveal.
It was the framing that Gege Akatame was putting at the end.
Yeah.
where they were like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna like beat Sukuna." Yeah, my ass, he's gonna beat Sukuna. Like,
Nah, I had faith in Kusakabe. I thought that was going to be the
yeah.
end of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, that's the end of Jujutsu Kaisen.
He got the most dramatic one as well. He got like a full versus panel.
Dude, he had a Moonveil Katana like straight out of Elden Ring. Yeah, he was good. That was a good one. All right, on that note, on the Kusakabe glaze, as all things should end, we're gonna end it there, guys. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Check out Allonsy's. Oh my God, can I even say it proper this time? Allonsy's YouTube channel. Great Jujutsu Kaisen content. A lot of the same opinions as me. So if you like my opinions, which to be honest, some of you definitely hate watch me, so that might not be the case. But you can go hate watch him.
Yeah, if you want to hate on some content, go check out the channel.
If you want to have some similar opinions or hate on some content, check out Allonsy. Oh my God.
That was
Okay.
great.
So we're gonna end there. Thank you guys. I'm